everybody, it's Calxiyn here, and if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you guys check out our Patreon to get early access, join our Discord server, or request a topic for us to make a video on. So Hunter and I, if you guys saw, we were playing Birth by Sleep, and after Aqua beats Vanitas, she says that Terra and Ven can rest easy, believing that she has basically killed Vanitas, I guess, if they can rest easy, right? You know, beats him down to the point of death, or that he won't be a problem anymore, and then she passes right out. And a lot of people, you know, blame Terra for his part in Birth by Sleep, and they should. And I see a lot of, like, Kingdom Hearts YouTubers a lot, like, kinda, you know, have a go at Terra or whatever, right, for being, stupid. And I'd like to do a Terra and Riku comparison video, because somebody was like, but they did the same thing, but, like, Terra's an adult who got manipulated, and, you know, Riku was, like, a child, and he wasn't, you know, he wasn't that manipulated. He almost conned Maleficent, right? But anyway, I've never seen anybody bring up, though, if this is Aqua's fault, right? Because if Aqua had just made sure that Vanitas was dead, right? That Vanitas, you know, was entirely dead, right? You know, Vanitas wouldn't have been distracting Aqua at the Keyblade Graveyard, or fighting Ven, or doing any of that stuff, and so they could have defended Terra from Xehanort. So, that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Is it Aqua's fault for some of the events at the Keyblade Graveyard? And I think that you can kind of do this with anything, like, what if Aqua had supported Terra more? Like, what about this? What about that? But this is, like, the most important one, because Vanitas was, like, he was right there, and she didn't make sure that, you know, he was finished off. But I think there are some, like, counter-arguments that you can make, like, that it's not necessarily, you know, to put the blame on her, so to speak, that I thought of, and so I'll kind of go through, like, hey, it's not Aqua's fault because this happened, sort of thing, right? Because we could argue that Ven and Mickey also had the chance to do it, and because, you know, Mickey is supposed to be, closer to becoming, I think, a Keyblade Master compared to Aqua or Terra or whatever, because obviously after the events of Birth by Sleep, he sort of becomes a full-fledged, mentor himself, you could say, right? You know, I think that in that case, you could say, okay, but if Mickey had just if they had just killed him, you know, they had the chance, so why is it Aqua's fault, right? But we have to remember that Aqua is basically the closest, like, her fight in Neverland is the closest that anybody really got to Vanitas. Like, I don't think Vanitas even fell down, during the Mickey and Ventus fight. I think that he just left. But we have to remember that Aqua had fought Vanitas earlier, right, in Radiant Gardens. And he did go down, and she did get close to him to try to take off the mask, but he just popped right up like he didn't hurt her at all. Like, basically, he played dead for a couple seconds and then laughed at her, right? And so even if Ven and Mickey, you know, maybe fought a bit better, right, Aqua in Neverland is basically the closest that anybody got. And even the closest that she got, because she did take him down before, but he got up right away. Remember in Neverland, he doesn't get up, he just kind of lies there on the ground for a while. So I think that even though you could say, okay, but Mickey and Ven, they had their chance, so why are we just blaming Aqua, right? It kind of just goes back to Aqua in the end, right? Because she had the most opportunity, you could say. We could even say that maybe it's not even possible to kill Vanitas that way, since, like, the time when Vanitas died, obviously, they broke the X-Blade, like, Ven and Vanitas were sort of fighting, like, inside of their, I guess you could say, their heart, even though they are separated, they are kind of the same, you know what I mean? They're two halves of each other, so their joined heart, right? You could say that after all of this, that was the only thing that could completely destroy him, was, again, sort of the fight that happened in the Keyblade Graveyard, and the fight that happened internally, you could say. But we don't really know until we try, and here's my problem with Aqua, is that she didn't even double-check, right? And I think that the most compelling argument that I could think of, because like I mentioned earlier, I've never seen anybody argue this, and so I can't find, like, counter-arguments. Like, I'm basically making counter-arguments to myself, and so if you guys have anything to sort of, like, retort with, I guess, like, make sure to let me know. But the other, like, argument that I sort of thought of was that Aqua, like, was basically, she just fainted from the fatigue, and she was a little disoriented because of the fight, and she wasn't necessarily thinking straight. She was more like, yes, I did it, you know what I mean? And, you know, really thought inside of her head that she did it. But here's my problem with that. So we observed in the English version of the game, because that's what Hunter and I were streaming, it's more like she's taking a nap than like she's actually fainting, and maybe this is the voice acting, I don't know if it's like the camera direction, I don't know if it's any of that, but it seems more like she's just like, I'm done, I'm just gonna sleep here, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like she's actually, like, I guess, distressed to the point of falling over, if that makes sense. Because she just sort of lies there, and then she puts her head on the ground, and she's just like, night-night. She doesn't say that, obviously, but that's sort of how she acts about it. And she says, you know, that Terra and Ven can rest easy now, and it seems like, to me, she's only really going to sleep in that moment because she thinks that she did the job. You know what I mean? That if Aqua didn't come to the conclusion in her head that Vanitas wouldn't be a problem anymore, because, you know, that the implication is, Terra and Ven, you can rest easy, I took care of it. Inside of her head, it seems like that she assumed that she took care of it for some reason. And so if she didn't come to this conclusion, I think her willpower to, like, you know, really finish him off would have overpowered her exhaustion, even if she was sort of, like, you could say fainting or very exhausted in that moment, right? So that's the best thing that I could think of was, well, she's supposed to be fainting, but, like, the game didn't really necessarily display that very well, and even if that was the case, I think that the adrenaline that comes from, you know, knowing that you're gonna be able to get rid of the one person that's hurting all your friends, you know what I mean? And so the problem, I think, with Aqua is not that she didn't kill Vanitas off. I think it's why she came to the conclusion that he was already dead when he was just lying there, when earlier he sort of played dead and jumped back up, right? And I don't know if we want to say, like, that Terra is stupid. I mean, I think that he is stupid, but, like, if we don't want to say that Terra is stupid, right, it may be more that Aqua isn't stupid, it was just inexperience and, you know, naivete, and, like, he jumped up the first time, he didn't jump up this time, so she just kind of put two and two together, right? But I think that we should call Terra stupid. But I'm saying, you know, if we don't want to call Terra stupid, then we shouldn't call Aqua stupid, which means, you know, we could say it was just about her being inexperienced as a fighter, and so she just sort of assumed that, you know, he went down. But obviously, we all think that Terra's stupid. Not all of us, but most of us think that what Terra did was stupid sometimes. So I think that instead of Aqua being stupid, this was just a stupid moment, if that makes sense. So do I blame Aqua? No. I think that it would be cool, though, if Aqua did lament about her mistakes later, because unlike Terra, Terra has, like, a stupid train, if that makes sense. He sort of goes throughout the game and does countless stupid things, but Aqua is pretty much okay until then, and that also makes me think, like, it was sort of like she didn't check for the sake of, like, so the game could continue and we got to the ending we got, you know what I mean? And so it was more like the writer shoehorning her to be dumb in that moment, whereas Terra is just like, that's part of his character, is him being dumb all the time. So that may have been an out-of-character moment for Aqua that existed in terms of, to progress the plot, or it just wasn't, like, how do you say? It wasn't expressed correctly, in maybe that scene that she was, like, very exhausted and fainting or whatever. Either way, that could be either thing. But I think that this could be actually fixed later if it is an out-of-character moment, for her, because they can kind of go in and, I don't want to say edit, but they can fix that action was out of character by making her think about it and having it established later, I think, and sort of give us, as the player, not reasoning why she did it, but more like that she knows that she did it, if that makes sense. And she can sort of say that, you know, if only she had killed Vanitas before, and maybe, like, they would have won against Xehanort the first time, and, you know, she does say what I wouldn't give to turn back time, right? And that's also so she can be with her friends, but I think part of that is also because she has made some mistakes along her journey, right? And even though that the Xehanorts are time traveling, I think it would be cool if Riku is the one to tell her, like, hey, we can't change the past. I should know more than anyone because I've made all these mistakes too, albeit he did it as a child. But, you know, and I think that he could say that he learned from his mistakes, and he also let Terra down because Terra gave him the Keyblade so he could defend his friends, right? And not that he forgot about that, but he lost sight of that. But at the same time, Riku was kind of defending Kairi, so, like, that's also up for debate, you know what I mean? But we can argue that, you know, Riku out of everyone should know that and when they go get Aqua, that this can be brought up, that you can't really change your past mistakes, you can only move forward, and together with their strength and their newly found wisdom from all of the mistakes they've made, say, collectively, they can all defeat Xehanort together and sort of all move forward and come together to do that. So that's just kind of where I'm at with this. Again, I don't want to blame her. I don't think it's necessarily her fault. Like, Vanitas, not that it wasn't her problem anyway, but obviously, like, you know, Vanitas was obviously, like, Ventus's fish to fry, so to speak, you know what I mean? But she did say, hey, I took care, like, rest easy, I did it. She didn't, you know what I mean? But I think that I am leaning towards more that was an out-of-character moment for her, but it's easy to make it in character if, again, they do something later, especially with Riku because of everything that Riku's gone through. If they go back to the Realm of Darkness, and Aqua sort of recognize him and is like, hey, like, I failed you too, you know, you and Sora, because now you're fighting, like, for the cause that we were supposed to, you know, defeat, or fighting for the fight that we were supposed to finish back then, right? And then Riku's like, nah, man, like, it's fine, you know? Like, we've all made our share of mistakes, like, we can only sort of move forward, right? But anyway, I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that this is Aqua's fault? Have you guys ever thought about this before? I've literally never seen anyone bring this up, and I sort of wonder why, especially because people get on Terra, again, rightfully so, but I think that it's interesting that people get on Terra, but they don't notice this moment, because this is, I think, very out of character, whereas Terra's stupidity was in character. Like, of course that's unlikable, but there was in-character stupidity and then out-of-character stupidity, and I think writing-wise, the out-of-character one is more important, because making your character out of character for the sake of plot is, of course, never good. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, remember that you guys should become patrons over on Patreon for early access, to request us topics to cover, and to join our Discord server if you guys want to talk more Kingdom Hearts. So I hope you guys have a Kingdom Hearts day, and we'll see you later. Bye!